Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and Ron Wong has kind of got us warmed up, or is it warmed up?
It's warmed up. We're into fishing season, big time.
Big time fishing season.
And BASS Elites are getting ready for their last tournament of the year, the top 50 at Mille Lacs.
And that doesn't mean anything to this next guy, does it?
Yes, it does.
It means a lot
yes,
to this.
It does.
And we're happy to have on Outdoors with Larry Ray is Jason Christie out of Oklahoma. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Okay, we're doing great. Now, if we excite a little more excited than you are, Jason, because it's early on Saturday morning, and we've been through 12 donuts already. So we want to make sure that tell us about this past tournament, because I was really up in Michigan. You came through, golly, a 4-day tournament, 88 pounds or something along that line, and 88 pounds, 8 ounces, 4 days. And I guess it's all over the bass world now that you had to bring in the drum situation. Tell our listeners how that evolved into you winning this thing.
Well, it should have been one of those deals I probably should have kept to myself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you should have, buddy, but it's all out there now. Yeah.
Well, and it's just one of the deals I figured out a couple of years ago up there on a fun fishing trip. We got to catching some of these drum, in the middle of the day where we could see real good. There wasn't any wind, and we kept noticing a lot of these big smallmouth would follow them in, just trying to pick up an easy meal, and. And although this tournament, I never actually seen one follow them in with my eyes, but I could see them on Panoptics. I'd hook one in practice or I'd hook one in the tournament, and as soon as I knew it was a drum, which was immediately, I would look with my Panoptics and see how many fish was with it, and in most cases they'd be 1, 2, or 3 following it up, and it was pretty much. I wouldn't say a guarantee, but it was a 75 to 80% chance that if you caught a drum, if you get your bait back in there pretty quick, you were going to catch, a smallmouth that followed it in. So, that was one of the things, and everybody talks about St. Clair being an odd place to fish because of the lack of contour and things like that.
Right.
Some of those things that you can put in your advantage like that. It all works. I was around a lot of fish, and when I say fish, I mean drum, bass, catfish, and things like that. And you just got to figure out a way to make those older, smarter fish bite. And, if they're down there and everything's calm, they may or may not bite your bait. But,
that's right.
You get a drum going to the boat, you get everything excited, everything's swimming around, those fish are a lot more apt to eat. And, I talked to a lot of guys. There wasn't a whole lot of guys catching drum. Yeah. And I just think the area that I found, had a lot of feeding fish in it, all kinds of walleye, muskie, everything. And those drum would trigger. And I caught a lot of smallmouth just, casting without a drum. But, I use those drum to my advantage a lot during the event.
Well, you've made the drum important now, and I know Ron Wong can't wait to ask you about that. But other questions, Ron, what you got to say to him?
Well, what was pretty amazing. First of all, you were able to see them on your Garmin units, and, and a lot of people, Jason, say, "Well, how do you do that?" And they don't really understand how this technology has evolved to what it is today on those Garmin units and what they can do. You can actually see the fish, can't you?
Yeah, I can see it out there. Here's the
and
advantage.
It scans around.
Yeah, here's the advantage I have going to St. Clair. The average guy with the average electronics, if you're sitting in 20 foot of water, your cone, when it gets to the bottom, you're looking at 20 foot.
Right.
That's how much you can see under your boat. And I'm seeing with Panoptics, it looks any direction I point it. I mean, you can set it up to 200, 250 feet. I set it at like 110.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can go 110 to the right, 110 to the left. So I'm covering 220 feet on a drift.
Right.
And a lot of those fish I caught, I just be going and I see one out there 70 feet.
Amazing.
I throw and I catch it. So I'm covering 10 times the amount of water that somebody else is.
And you're within casting distance of what you're seeing too.
Exactly.
You can cast 110 feet easy enough if you see something.
Well,
right. And not all the time, I'd see a fish most of the time, but sometimes you just, what I was fishing was pretty much a sand flat, but sometimes you'd just see a school of bait, or you'd see a patch of, an isolated patch of grass the size of the hood of your truck, and of course, you might as well throw at that. And I caught some fish doing that, but it's just the amount of water that I was able to cover and do it efficiently, be able to see every fish that's in that 220 foot section on a drift. Just a lot of things worked out. And whenever I go to St. Clair or places like that are flat bottom, hardly any structure, that's whenever I feel most confident using that technology, being able to see everything. And I'm a lot more confident even before practice starts when I put my boat in up there, and I think it makes me fish a lot more comfortable and a lot more patient. And you just look for that one area, and I was fortunate enough to find that area.
Well, let me say something before Ron does. I did notice that you used a baitcaster.
I did.
And not what you like. You say you like, spinning rod, but you had all that equipment. You had the Lew's custom pro reel that Ron knows all about. Of course, you had the Sunline Sniper fluorocarbon, and you were using one of those 7.3 Falcon Amistad casting rods. But I was really interested that you went to bait casting.
Well, I've caught some heat over that. You have 95 out of 100 say, well, that's pretty cool. Then you got the 5 that say you need to learn how to use a spinning rod. Well, obviously, I know how to use a spinning rod. But yeah, the thing there was 2 reasons. One, I was fishing deep water, so I wanted a heavy weight, and I wanted a 3/4 ounce weight. Well, 3/4 ounce on a spinning rod is a load.
That's right.
But that wasn't the main reason. That was a factor. The main reason was this grass that was on the bottom was starting to die a little bit, so it was soft. And anytime you moved your bait, it would corrode with this grass, and and you couldn't with the spinning rod. I just could not keep my bait clean. As hard as I jerked, I just couldn't keep it clean. So I tried a baitcaster, and I was able to jerk, rip that bait with 2 hands rather than one with a spinning rod across your body. I could rip it with 2 hands. I could rip it straight up. And, what I'm thinking is there was a lot of crawdads in that area, and that grass was, 8 to 12 inches tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these smallmouth, once your bait gets in that grass, if a smallmouth's 15 or 20 foot away, he's probably not going to visually see that as good as that bait being up high. So I wanted to rip that bait up where that smallmouth could see it, but most importantly, I had to rip it just to keep the bait clean. And all my bites came, I'd rip it, and when that bait would go falling, that's whenever they would get it. But I know how to use a spinning rod. Probably not as good as Brent Ayler or somebody like that. I know how to use a spinning rod, but just the scenario, that's the way it's set up.
Right.
That a bait caster was more comfortable. And like, I was telling you guys earlier, some of those fish I would cast to at 100 yards, and I needed to make an accurate on the spot, land on top of him cast. And it's easier. I can make a more accurate cast at 110 feet with a bait caster than I can with a spinning rod.
Well, that's right. And Jason, you said earlier, you're also catching some of these drum, and one of the keys there was to get that drum in the boat, get your bait back, and get it back out in the water. With spinning tackle, you've got to kind of play them, whereas with your bait casting, you're able to essentially horse them in, right?
Right. And see, a lot of people, I think, would say, I'm going to St. Clair, I got to use a spinning rod, and they would fight those factors. Well, why not just just say, hey, this is the scenario. I'm going to use the best thing that I have for that scenario, and the best thing for me was a baitcaster.
Well, and there again, it's being versatile, and you have to be versatile
right.
to be successful.
Well, he's versatile. Again,
right.
We're talking to pro bass angler Jason Christie out of Oklahoma, Northeastern State University. The man could have been a coach someday, but he hung it up to go bass fishing. And I know we've talked about what happened in the great victory for you. I think it was pretty close, but now you're heading to what it's all about, Jason. I know the top 50 Angler of the Year standings are all headed to the Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year Championship in Minnesota. Let's talk a little bit about that and your feelings as you head to the big one.
Well, honestly, since I won at St. Clair, I haven't thought about it more than 2 minutes. I just, it's one of those deals where the competition that we fish against, guys don't have the opportunity to win very often. So
That's
I kind of want to set on this for a little bit, and
Absolutely.
I'm gonna start driving this afternoon to head to Mille Lacs, and whenever the truck pulls out of the driveway, that's whenever I'll start thinking about it. The only thing I really have thought about is the points, and
yes,
and even though I'm in second, I'm 15 points back, and to the people that don't understand the points, it pretty much boils down to this: if Polinick finishes 15th, then I cannot catch him. Even if I win the tournament by 65 pounds,
it doesn't make any difference.
Because he has a 15-point lead now. So, my thought is, there's a chance. It's not probable, but it's possible. I mean, for one, he's got to have a subpar tournament. He hasn't done that in a long time. Yeah. So, but what I'm going to do, the way I'm looking at it is, I'm in the Classic for sure. I won a tournament this year. I'm going to show up at Mille Lacs, and I'm going to do the best that I can. And I have the opportunity to be able to gamble a little bit. For instance, if I find a place I can catch 20 pounds, and I find a place where I catch 2 6-pounders in the tournament, I'm probably going to go fish that place that's got that I have the opportunity to catch.
You're essentially going to swing for the fences.
Well, we got to get out of here. I know he's swinging right now this week. He's working on his deer stands. The man's got his priorities correct. Okay, that's the way to go. Jason, thank you, buddy, for being with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Congratulations, great year, and I know Ron will see you at the Classic. Ron will be there. He'll be the only Ron Wong there. I can tell you that.
I'll see you there, Jason.
Okay, Jason. Thank you, buddy. Have a great day. We'll talk to you, all right?
All right, you got it. See you.
All right, let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we're going to talk chestnuts now. So I'll let Ron.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I love eating chestnuts.
They are. Oh, it's Christmas time. You think of chestnuts?
No, I mean, you see in the Chinese culture.
Oh,
we eat them year round. We're going to roast them. We actually roast them in the oven. And
we're going to let you hold to that thought. We'll be right back. We'll talk to Ron Wong about how to cook chestnuts too.
You can find out